Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to episode 2 of Happiness Unchained. My name is Keish, or some call me Coach Q. So, today, what I wanted to do is really dive into a couple of things. Um, but one big thing that I think I mentioned last time that was really the start of the journey for me. And if you listened last time, you know this was like in a dark place for me that I had to sort of escape from. And the first thing I asked myself is, what do you want? And then I don't know if you've ever asked yourself that question, but it is a powerful question. You can probably say a million things that you don't want, right? I don't want this job. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to live like this. The list goes on and on and on. But what do you actually want? And that is really part of what I teach my clients as part of their foundation to be able to step into finally being happy and having that life of choice. So I really just want you guys to chew on this, if you will, or meditate on it, and then really put pen to paper and figure this question out. Because actually knowing what you want will propel you forward more than anything else that you can do or think of or what have you, to really work to get out of your situation. I'm really gonna have to move my computer to the other side next time because for whatever reason I want to keep looking this way. But if you guys are watching, you understand. Anyway, so asking yourself what you want is super important. And what that really is asking yourself, like, what is the vision that I have for my life? And your vision, guys, like you can look up so many things out there and there's going to be all kinds of definitions and whatnot. And I feel like sometimes you have to interpret things for yourself. But for me, your vision is really just where do you want to go in your life? Like, what do you see for yourself? So, if you're able to participate in this exercise, like if you're driving, like let's not, let's just pause this episode and wait um, into the next one. But what a good exercise for you to do is really just to sort of get into a state to where you can really think about that. So when you're able, I want you to guys to just take a deep inhale and then pull your shoulders up towards the ears. Hold that breath at the top. And then when you exhale, you're going to roll those shoulders back and down the back and exhale out through the mouth. Fantastic. Let's do that again. Inhale up, roll up the shoulders. Hold that breath at the top. Exhale out through the mouth, roll those shoulders back and down. Fantastic. One more time, just because that feels awesome. And roll them down the back. If you're able, will you close your eyes? And if you're not able to close your eyes, but you want to sort of think through this, you can. But honestly, guys, if you're driving, please don't do this. This is my big disclaimer because it is not safe. Do this exercise at a later time. But what I want you to think about is what is an ideal day that you can think of for yourself? Like if money didn't matter, you literally get to choose how your day looks, how it goes, how it runs. What does that look like? Where are you? Are you in a really nice house, your dream house? Are you renting a chateau in France? Are you able to walk outside and put your toes in the sand and see the ocean? Are there mountains in the background? And then what I want you to think about is where you are, but who is with you? Who is enjoying this wonderful day with you? Are you with a spouse? Are you with your kids? Are you with your whole family, friends? Maybe you're by yourself, and that's okay too. And then I want you to think about What are you doing? Do you start your day with breakfast in bed? Do you go out and do different activities? Do you have time to sit and read? Do you get to do some painting? Just what do you actually do throughout this day? And then from there, I want you to think about, what do you smell? And you're like, what? What do you mean? Do you smell the ocean air? Are there fresh cookies baking? Is there a chef cooking some amazing food in the background? Just what does that environment smell like? Hopefully something pleasant, unless you don't want it to be. And then from there, how does it feel? Like, what emotion do you carry throughout this day? Are you happy? Are you calm? Do you feel relaxed? Are you at peace? I just want you to think about like the whole scenario, like all of these elements. And then what I want you to do is take a deep inhale through the nose and then slowly exhale out through the mouth. And then if you were able to close your eyes, go ahead and gently open those. And then when you're able to, the best thing to do, and even if you have to re-listen to this episode, that's perfect, is what you want to do is you want to write all of that down in some form or fashion. It doesn't need to be like a full-on essay unless that's just how you want to express it. But honestly, the more you write, the better it is. But just write that down. Go through those questions. Who's with me? Where am I? What do I want? And then beyond your perfect day, like, what do you want your life to be like? That is such an amazing way to be able to figure out what it is that you want in your life, what your vision is for yourself. Because I think sometimes, or at least for me, I used to make that super difficult. Like my vision, I am a very structured person, less so now, but when I was younger, like a plan, if we made a plan, we're sticking to this plan. I don't care if the boat is sinking, we're sticking to the plan. Um, but it's really something that's like, just what do you see for yourself and what do you want? And it could be something that feels so far away, it's just like a dream that you can't tangibly hold it just yet, but that's perfect because we need to have something to work towards. And for me, when I asked myself that question at that time, this was like a few weeks, if not a month process for me to constantly keep that question on the front of mind and figure out, I know all the things that I don't want, and then what you do want isn't necessarily the opposition to what you don't. Sometimes, depending on what it is, but sometimes it's just much bigger than that, like just something completely different the way you want to live. And if you catch yourself daydreaming about something, which is me, like I really just want to be able to travel the world and I want to live in different places. And that's a vision that I see for myself. And it could be something as simple as that. It doesn't have to be, a specific money amount or, the structure of, how you're going to get there and all those things. Like, just what do you see? Like, and a big question is your ideal day or what you want every day to look like. And if you are asking yourself that question, I promise you things are going to start to move around in your mind and in your space. And if you guys believe in the law of attraction, which I am a huge believer in it, that is something wonderful when that starts to happen. And we'll talk more about that next time. But really just asking yourself the question is really the first step to building your foundation. And we'll talk more about what I teach people on their foundation in later episodes. So for me, I asked myself that question. I journaled about it on a regular basis. I can't say that I did every day, but I can tell you it was on the front of my mind. And then that really sort of helped pull me out of my mental health funk, right? Because as I talked about in earlier episodes, I was in a super depressed state to where I asked myself, what's the point of me being on this earth? Because the way I felt and the things I was doing, the people I were around, I hated it. I honestly can say the word, I hated all of it. And it was just like, what is the point? I don't want to put up with this anymore. And as I said last time, for those of you who have been in that place and you're still here with us, I'm so proud of you. And then for those of you who are in that space, just give it one more day. And if you need to talk to somebody, please do so, because it's so important, because you're important and it's okay to ask for help. It doesn't need to be announced to the world or anything. You don't need to feel shameful about it. Just pick up the phone. There are tons of resources out there for you to be able to call for free and just talk to someone. And that's probably, in my opinion, maybe not for you, but in my opinion, that was one of the best things that you could do, is talk to somebody that you didn't even know. They don't know you, you don't know them. You can get some things off your chest. Maybe they can give you some tips to just really sort of help you pull yourself a little bit out of the space, right? But that really upped my mental health, and it really gave me something to do. And I know you're like, you talked about you had a million jobs and doing all these things, but it gave me something to do that wasn't further putting me in a lower vibrational state or that depressed state. Like, my job was something to do and make money, but like I hated it. So it was just like running through the mud or quicksand, but really thinking about something that you dream about sort of invoke some type of excitement, whether you feel that or not. So that is something that's helped pulled me out of that state. I thought about it all the time. I journaled about it on a regular basis. And that was the start of me putting together what I now call the foundation. And when I would go to work super unhappy, especially during that COVID time, I'm gonna be real, there were times when it was slow or it was COVID and they were a little more lenient on things, especially when it came to sales and whatnot. All I did on my computer was research things that I wanted for my life, right? I wanted to travel the world, be carefree, not be tied down to anything or any place. So I would start looking up places that I think I'd like to go and learning about the areas and different things. And that was fun for me. And, when you have to snap back into reality, I think that's why, like, when you're younger, we daydream a lot, or at least I did. And you have all these hopes and dreams until life slaps you in the face. And that's really a big thing, is really, life is going to happen to the best of us. Honestly, it's going to happen to all of us in some form or fashion. Sometimes it happens to people as kids, sometimes in your teens, sometimes in your early 20s, sometimes later in life. Some people pretty much have sort of a smoother ride, right? Depending on your perspective. But it happens to everyone, but it looks different for everyone. And one tip I can give you while you're going through this process is just remember, like, everybody has something that they're going through, that they're fighting through, whether you can see that or not, whether they are open about it or not, or whether they're trying to put on that, as I say, that social media mask or not. Everyone has something. So don't compare yourself to others. And I'll talk a lot about this because that was a big thing for me. I'd be like, wow, like, that person's traveling and doing this and doing that. Like, why can't I have that? Or really get into this jealousy or envious state because I couldn't do it. And all the while, I didn't see the path that they had to take to be able to do that, or don't see the current path that they found a different route to do it, versus just in my mind, like, oh, they have all this money to pay and go on these trips. When maybe when they were traveling, it was for work and they were just showing pictures of some free time they had, or someone else was paying for it, that when I started learning, like, girl, there's different ways to think of things. Like, there's a million ways people can go on trips, right? And if someone else is paying for it, you really just have to open your eyes to that. But there also is a sticky area there. Like, are people doing things that you may not want to do to get people to pay for it? Or are you just open to the fact that blessings can come your way? So y'all know where I was going with that previous one. So if that's you, I'm not bashing you. Like, if you like it, I love it. But I'm just saying, you can't just say, well, wow, if that person did that, is that what I have to do? No, there are different ways to to get there. So I hope this was helpful. Just making sure that you guys go out there and first and foremost figure out what it is that you want. And then if you don't know the answer to that question right away, if you're just sitting there thinking about it and you're like, I really have no idea, that's okay too. Just know that that is the work that you need to do right now to figure out and then move on to the next thing. So next time we're going to talk about the law of attraction, which is one of my favorite things, and something that I've really grown into the past handful of months, and that I'm continuing to study and dive into, and are seeing results from it. Because if you know anything about it, you know that it's something that seems very easy or simple, I should say, but it's not easy. And especially if you've studied it a little bit, it is some work, but when you actually sort of manifest something in your life, whoo, it's so cool and awesome, and it makes you want more and more. So catch me next week for a talk on the law of attraction. I hope that you guys have such a fantastic day, and we'll see you on the next one.